And workers unite, don't give up the fight. Workers of the world unite,
Thank you. Thank you very much.
He's a great man.
Thank you very much. That was very, very nice of you. I haven't heard that for 10 years. That sounds pretty good. I want to say good morning to everybody, all the brothers and sisters, because I'm truly honored to be here this morning and to have been asked to introduce this video tribute to my longtime friend and colleague, David Durkee. David and I first met by telephone, I think it was in 1983, when I called to congratulate him on his organizing victory at Shelf Stable Foods in his hometown of Evansville, Indiana. At the time, David was the president of Local 280. We had a international rep there that I talked to in a hotel room, and I asked him why he wasn't on the job down at the bakery, because we were having an election at the time. And he said, well, the company's got signs down there and they're telling people not to vote for the union. I said, well, why aren't you there telling them to vote for the union? So it became David Durkee, the local president's job, to win that election, and he did that. David, it didn't take long for people to recognize David's abilities. And it didn't take very long for him to move up in the union. We hired him as an international representative just after that. And on October the 1st, 1990, I became the executive vice president after having been the director of organization and the original director of organization, because they didn't have one before they created the position a few years earlier. On October the 1st, David became the executive vice president, in addition to maintaining his job as the director of organization. And I said, David, you don't have to do both jobs. You can be the executive vice president, we'll get a director of organization. He said, I want to keep it. I want to keep those duties. And I said, okay, if you want it, you go ahead and keep it, but it's going to be a double job. And he said, that's all right, I can do it. I'm off my script, so I'm just telling stories all out of school. Well, when David was, in 1998, David was promoted to International Secretary-Treasurer and served in that position until replacing me as president of the International Union on January the 1st of 2013. He was dedicated to this union for 47 years, during which he rose up through the ranks from his employment at Lewis Brothers in Evansville all the way to international president. He proudly led this union until the day he died. On March the 30th, 2020, we lost our union brother and our fearless leader, and he was truly a fearless leader. David was loved deeply by many of his true friends and friends of working people. His loss was felt not only across our union, but across the entire labor movement. David's tenure as leader of the BCTGM was marked by unwavering, untiring, and relentless commitment and standard of living of union members and their families. There was no fight he wouldn't get involved in, none that he wouldn't lead, no adversary he wouldn't confront when the best of interest of the members of the BCTGM were at heart. David was a man who stayed loyal. He was a very, very, very loyal guy, and he stayed loyal to his roots and often recalled stories, and he would tell stories of his incidents while working in the bakery at Lewis Brothers. He was honored to lead this union. He loved being the president, as did I, and so will your present president. He was honored to lead this union and held a commitment to the men and women of the BCTGM for 47 years. David Durkee will forever be remembered as a model for all to aim high. It's not enough to be a leader and gain followers. The trick is to be a leader and train leaders. He was devoted to the principle and mission of the labor movement, his love for working people, men and women, and his dedication to his community and the family were the driving force in his ability to lead this great union. There were no gray areas in David's fight for justice. His commitment to the fight was for the least among us. And it was that compassion for working people that made him the great man that David was. Forever a union organizer at heart, David often quoted Mother Jones. During those troubled times, he would urge us all to pray for the dead and fight like hell for the living. David Durkee's memory and spirit will live on in the lessons we all take away from life. Please play the video now, please.
You know what? We're smart people. We know a lot of small battles equals one big battle. And I'd like to quote Dr. King. This is what he said 50 years ago. Something's happening in Memphis. Something's happening in the world. And that something is a movement to take back our communities. To fight for justice, to fight for power. Dr. King knew if there was going to be any movement that was going to be successful, it would take all types of people, all different colors, all different religions, all different beliefs, and we would all have to come together. One of Dr. King's lasting legacies was his firm belief that people indeed would stand up for themselves and that they would fight for equality and for justice. And they would band together with their fellow citizens and demand a better day. That means we can either sit back and accept the corporate agenda of low wages and no regulation and no rights, or we can fight back, just as Dr. King did. He fought back. We're not going to back down from this fight until it's completed. Brothers and sisters, the BCTGM is on an organizing roll, and we ain't going to stop. 50 years ago, we didn't give up, and we're not giving up today. We must fight today, not because we want to. We fight today because we have to. It's our obligation to those who built this union. This is our responsibility to those who are working today to build this union even stronger, and to those that will carry this proud tradition in the years ahead. Brothers and sisters, we're fighting today to protect our future, and there will be plenty of fight in this union.
I want to recognize David's wife of 46 years, Sharon Durkee, who traveled here from Evansville, Indiana to be at this convention as we honor David. I also want to recognize David's son, Colin Durkee, who continues his father's legacy as an important part of this union and this convention. Sharon and Colin, would you please rise so we can recognize you and honor David? Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming, Sharon, and making it here. That was great. It was great working with David. I know one time Frank told me, he said, when David Durkee bites down on something, sometimes he don't never know when to let go. He just keeps biting. He holds on. And Frank, I want to thank you for coming back and assisting us with that video. That was great. Thank you very much.